times they'll decide to pack up books for the day and have a dance. If someone suggests, let's ask Neil, he's allowed to come too.
Hello, welcome to the third episode in my little blog, The History of Summerhill Through 100 Objects. Today's object is the gramophone. Now, I was told a story by one of our oldest ex-students from Summerhill that I'd ever met. He came to Summerhill from America, and he told me this story. In the late 1920s, he was one of the first students, I think, who came and stayed at Summerhill when it had moved to Leiston in Suffolk. And he said that at the school when he was there was a young boy, and the young boy had a gramophone. And he would play the gramophone and invite the other children into his room, and he'd play it and he would conduct to the music of the gramophone. But not only that, this boy had made out of card and paper a three-dimensional whole orchestra, a miniature orchestra. And he would stand in front of the orchestra in his room and conduct the orchestra as the other children would sit on the bed and on the floor listening to the concert. So that would have been in the late 1920s, because Summerhill moved to Leiston, I think, in 1928. And the ex-Summerhill who told me this said that the boy was homosexual, was gay, which was an interesting story. Okay, now in 1914, when Neil was the head teacher of Gretna Green School, the first time he'd actually run a school, a state school this was, he said, what would I want for a school? I want a player piano, a gramophone, a cinematograph with comic films. He loved comic films in terms of Charlie Chaplin and others. A library with magazines and pictures. I want swings and seesaws in the playground. I want rabbits and white mice. I want instruments for school brass and wood band. So there is his list of things that he wants to buy for the school. And the gramophone is there. And in fact, when he sort of started setting up Summerhill in 1921, which was a department within the international school at Helleroy. There were 3 departments, and he ran one of them, which was the international students. In the evenings they would put on the gramophone and have dances in the classroom, and down below the serious students would be studying with their German teachers, Nietzsche and Goethe and the philosophers and poets and literature of Germany. And Neil said that they were rather disturbed by the sound of the dancing and the music playing on the gramophone. And he also says that when the school moved to Sonntag in Austria, because of the problems they had in Helleroy, that one of the things he remembers is the many dances and the music and the students dancing. So the gramophone is an important dance and movement. I mean, one of the reasons why Neil had gone to Helleroy was because of the eurythmic movement, and Delacroix was very famous for the school at Helleroy. And in Dominic's log he says about possibly trying to do eurythmics, but he couldn't play the music. And he didn't know what the instructions were. He just had a magazine article with photographs. In 1941 we have here, so we're just jumping a bit, is the laws of the school. And law number 37, only Gram Committee, this is for Summerhill School in Suffolk, only Gram Committee allowed in Gram Box or anybody they give permission to. Yeah, this is 1949, 20, the laws of 25th of June 1949. In fact, that's still a law. Many of the laws then are similar to the ones now, in fact, except for the money, because it's in shillings here, and old pence, or these. And then Law 38, every third record at lounge till 10 p.m. on Saturdays must be one of Neill's. So the gram would happen, or the party would happen, organised by the gram committee, where they would put the records on and dance all evening. And Neill would have every third record as one of the laws. Which is interesting, isn't it? So the idea that as part of the school that you would have gramophones, but the important thing was the children could choose the music and what they played. And I think Neill is very famous for putting on waltzes and dances that you could do the old-fashioned dances. Though in Dominie's log they do ragtime dances with an actress of his comes up to visit the school in Gretna Green, and the girls and Dorothy, he calls her, do ragtime dances together. Now it's interesting that in 1949 or thereabouts, there was a wonderful state school that A.S.Neill thought was the only state school that he supported, and was the best state school in England at least, which was democratic and participative. And he would go as a guest to their prize givings. The school's run by Alexander Bloom, and you may have seen it. The school's featured in the very famous film with Sidney Poitier as the black teacher in coming to the school where there's a lot of racism and a lot of violence. And he seems, as a teacher, he seems to take control and save the children from this sort of failing school, which it wasn't. But that film is called To Sir With Love, and it's based on this school that A.S.Neill thought was the best secondary school in the country. Of course, St George's in the East, and their head teacher was Alexander Bloom, and his motto was a place with no fear, which I think he may have got from one of Neill's books. And they would have lunchtime discos. There's a lovely picture in the press, in the national press, of the children in the school organising and putting on their lunchtime discos. So they would have their gramophone record playing, and it would be a disco just like in Summerhill, like the Summerhill Gram, where the children would choose the records, and it was all self-organised. It was reported in the national press, and there's a scene in To Sir With Love with the teacher, Sidney Poitier, sort of walking through the hall and being very uncomfortable when one of the girls asks him to dance, because he's not sure whether he can, because it's To Sir With Love. Yeah, it's interesting that the novel, which is by a guy who taught at the school, E.R. Braithwaite, has a teacher who expects respect and doesn't know what to do if the young people treat him as an equal. So the Grams exist today, and I think they are a fantastic celebration of just music and its role in life in terms of enjoyment, beauty, and just the community coming together, all ages. And at the end of the year, when everyone sort of celebrates the end of year, they have a big party, an end of term party, and they say goodbye to those students who are going off to college or to work or apprenticeships and things. And they have a long party which goes all day, all night. I mean, it starts like at 8 and goes on till 5, 6 in the morning, or when the coaches arrive to take the students away. And at midnight we all gather, and all the students who are leaving gather in the middle, and they play a whole set of songs of music that we all cry to, and we all end with Auld Lang Syne, holding hands and doing the famous "For old acquaintance be forgot, for the sake of Auld Lang Syne." A wonderful moment where the community says goodbye to those students who move on. Right, thank you very much.
Neill doesn't force his pupils to do anything. They needn't wash, but they do when the novelty of going grubby is worn off. When a problem child comes along who steals or lies, he's never punished for it. And Neill says that cures him. According to him, children are made into problems by their parents. It's the father and mother who should be spanked. There's no beating at Summerhill.